What's up, everybody? Midjourney Fast Hours podcast. We are back, and I left my hat somewhere in the other room. So
Yeah, what's
here
going
we are.
on? It's weird.
I know. I'm breaking tradition here.
Good head of hair, dude.
Thanks, man. Still rocking it. You know, still got
rocking
some.
it.
So might
Yeah.
as well show it every once in a while.
Dude, I get the comment all the time from some of my friends who maybe are thinning a little bit. They're like, dude, just don't wear the hat. You have good thick hair. I'm like, I don't think about it that way, but you know, it's hard to put the hat down.
It is. I've been a
every
hat
day.
guy my entire life. I have the
Every
same. I get the feeling you're the same way. You've been rocking a hat since you were a child.
9, 10. As soon as I started playing like baseball religiously, when it was like I was wearing a hat every day for baseball, whether it was practice, camp, doing like hitting stuff, whatever. It was always in a hat, and I just like wearing a hat. So
Same.
it's weird.
Always
My
been
daughter-
rocking a hat. Although I would say I've got you beat. I've been rocking a hat since
birth.
4, 5.
All right.
Like one of my earliest pictures, I was trying to see if I could pull it up here really quick. It's hilarious. It's like me on my neighborhood street rocking like a flat bill
Yes.
cap. And I've got like these, of course, like, 80s, early 90s inspired, like vibrant color, like wind jacket. And it's
sick.
It's so dope. I'm like, Mom, thanks for that one, because most of the other stuff I've seen, it ain't good. It ain't
Did you have a
good.
mushroom cut, just like the rest of us in the 90s?
They called that a bowl cut for us.
Bowl cut. All right.
But
Same
yeah,
thing.
like I think everybody had that at some point. What was that? Like maybe I'm a little bit older than you, but for me, I think that was
Early
like
90s though.
6th, 7th
Yeah.
grade,
Yeah.
maybe 8th. Yeah,
That's when it came off for me. Seventh
Yeah.
grade. It was like I got to get rid of this thing now. It was like,
What about this thing?
oh, are we showing that everyone?
I was looking through my photos and I forgot why, but I saved this photo and I think I was giving you shit for it one time. And, turns out I still got it on here. So
If
might
anyone
use that as
doesn't
blackmail.
remember,
Yeah.
If anyone doesn't remember the dark days of COVID, when all of the women and all the females still looked normal because their hair doesn't grow at the same rate as us because we get it cut every
That's
3 or 4
right.
weeks.
That's
And
right.
we're like, a month or two in, and we all look like cavemen. Like, which
Oh
is
my God.
disgusting.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I already told the dye story, I think, on this podcast, but
Oh yeah.
bro, yeah, I had to shave it all down, man. We
Too funny.
yeah.
Too funny,
Yeah.
man. It was what was your week like this week? How, it never slows down, nothing ever stops. I will open up Twitter every single day and it's just like, oh, here's 50 other things for me to look at today and test and see what's going on.
I think if you
It's
put
insane,
if
man.
you put too much pressure on yourself to keep up with every little thing, it has a negative effect on you. So I've tried to, especially now, like pretty much rocking, I'm rocking full time, and then I don't get to spend as much time in the weeds as I did when I was running solo. I've had to let some of that go, right?
All right.
There's no way to stay
Probably healthy.
sane. Maintain good relationships within my family, do all those things unless
Yeah.
I let some of it go and not try to know everything. So I think that's been a lesson for me is, these things happen so fast, right? And
Yeah.
luckily there are other people, right? Like through Twitter or just, having conversations with you where it's like, if I get enough of what's going on, that feels good enough for me right now.
Yeah.
In some areas, like mostly like with, I would say like the video stuff specifically. But in terms of like everything going on with Midjourney, obviously staying up to date with that. But
It's rough. Like I've sort of hit that fever pitch now where I just have
fever
to choose.
pitch, that's good. Yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah, it's like I just have to choose. Like I can't chase everything. Like HeyGen comes out with something new this week that's like super revolutionary. Apparently, I haven't even looked into it because I've never used HeyGen, and like I see that as more of like it spikes and then it goes into a valley. Like it spikes, it's cool for a month, and then someone else develops, and I don't hear from them for a while.
I'm curious how other people do that too outside of us,
Yeah.
right? Like the people listening to this, I'm curious how you guys decide. Is it purely a time bandwidth thing, or do you think about it consciously like that, which I think is smart too, of like, you kind of have to consciously pick your winners too, of like, maybe I don't have the time to explore every single tool. These are the ones that I will sort of like go back in and, test this new feature, run some experiments, right? Like kind of piece together how it might work for me kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like there's the tools that are shipping constantly. Like I look at Kling and I just know that Kling's on it. right? Like something's like they dropped 2.1 4 weeks after 2.0. Like that's not a
yeah,
that's not like
insane, right?
it's not like Pika who like
Yeah.
disappeared for 9 months and then came back. Like it wasn't
They've
like
they've been doing that. They've been kind of
yeah,
they'll show up for like 1 week and then it's like back into hibernation for the next quarter.
yeah, yeah, constantly updating. I did get to meet Tony from Kling this week, who is the
Who's
only employee in the U.S. And Tony is very cool. And if anyone's not utilizing Kling in any way, shape, or form, I definitely highly suggest it as a tool. I think it's great. They put a lot of effort into their tool, and it's really good. It's super coherent. But he was, I was talking to him. His schedule is crazy because he's the only one in the U.S. So like
he's
he
working.
works
He's
all
working
day.
that
and
Far
then
East
night.
time.
Yeah. Then he works the nighttime regimen because he's like when I have a call with
Yikes.
Europe, it's like in the morning, and then I have to like somewhat relax during the middle of the day, and then go back to working overnight.
Insane. I
Yeah.
can't even imagine. You
Yeah.
know.
Super cool, super open to feedback. Like loves talking to him. I love when these tools like this. There's a good thing about the space. If everyone's not familiar, you haven't had an opportunity to talk to, some of the people that are developing these tools, some of the the tool owners. Like they're really open to feedback. Like they like it. They don't get like pissy if you're like I don't like this thing.
Where would you say the best place to reach these people are for those that are listening and maybe do have feedback? Like, is it mostly on X? Is there?
Man. Yeah. They're interactive. It's like they want to know because it's just like you with your work, right?
Yeah,
like,
you're getting constant feedback, which is
Yeah.
great. Like if you're a marketer, well, it doesn't even matter if you're a marketer, right? Like any type of feedback is valuable. You're not taking guesses, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think like if you've got something that's hard data that you can then apply, and if you establish patterns, even better, right? If you're hearing that same thing a couple times, or maybe even just like the creator mindset, right? Like you and I think about that in terms of like if we see comments here and we see that sort of like similar patterns, it's like, oh, okay, like this probably is something we should address, whether it's briefly or on a deeper level. Same with doesn't even have to be your content. I think you even brought this up on a previous pod, right? It's like, look, you can also source this just by viewing other people that are in the space, and they may make a post and don't have time to, comment or respond to every little thing that's left there, but you can also just browse that for insights of things that matter, right? And so, if you're Tony or anybody else, or for that matter, that's creating even, I mean, those are all good insights that are accessible and only allow you to get smarter with the things that you're talking about and pushing out, right? Versus taking guesses. So,
yeah, 100%. So it was for a little insight into how I met Tony. Apparently, Drew, it was New York Tech Week this week, also coinciding with a lot of like supplemental events for the Tribeca Film Festival in New York. So the whole like AI contingent was in New York, and I did not know this until about Tuesday. So
damn. Okay. So this is an annual thing, but probably within the last 2 years, this is really like just kind of been an influx too of the AI part of that and influence in the event.
And I think it's similar to like what I'm not going to say it's at the same scale, but like what Cannes is in France, where you have the big major event and then you have all the satellite events. So everyone comes, throws their parties, everyone has their presentations, their panel discussions, their networking events. So
very cool. Tell us more about it. Tell us more about that.
First, I would like to shout out to one of our listeners. Drew, you're going to find this one good. We were sitting after one of the events. We went out to get like a burger on Stone Street down in Wall Street area, and just
Wall Street's at the bottom, right? South financial district.
Finance district.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there, probably like 10 of us around a table, and one of the guys, his name is Brian, just he's like, dude, I don't know what it is about your voice. It sounds so familiar. I was like, do you happen to listen to a podcast? He goes, Are you guys the Midjourney podcast? I was like, yeah, Midjourney Fast Hours. He goes, I have ironed more shirts to that podcast than anything any other. I was like, dude, I shouting that out.
Can we use that line in a? Yeah, we're gonna use that line.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the way he said it. I was like, that's exactly how he's like, I don't really watch. I just listen. So I wasn't recognizing you by your face, but I recognized your voice. So, we have a few listeners that I met, which was cool. But yeah, it was we did a panel discussion in Oculus, which is right next to the World Trade Center. Small, intimate sort of setting. A bunch of people. You had Kling there. Freepik was there.
Crazy.
A few other cool people that I met and did a panel discussion with Xavier and Justin from Wonder Studios. If you guys are not familiar with them, they're developing AI intellectual property at the moment. So they're a new studio in the game that's just got some funding and is on the upswing. Got a little bit of a relationship with them, and then also did a panel discussion with Nick St. Pierre. If anyone is familiar with X, I'm sure you've seen Nick's work. Super cool guy, awesome conversations. So, yeah, we had a good time at that. Got to really get in with Freepik a little bit. Have a conversation with their team. They're really cool. Had no idea they started as a stock photography site and just pivoted, which I was like, to where you guys are at now.
Ooh, interesting.
Right?
Yeah, I feel like I knew that, but I
didn't know that.
But maybe I haven't thought about that because they've been around for a minute, right? Because they were like even pre AI, that was the place where you got all the stickers and icons and illustrations and under that subscription model. But prior to that, that kind of makes sense. That tracks. I feel like I knew that. Either I knew that or it makes a lot of sense.
So I was like, to them, congrats, because I see you guys as like a major player in the space.
They have pivoted a lot.
And they pivoted hard.
Yeah.
And they made the right pivot. Because what was the first thing that we were doing with Midjourney?
Yes, you're right.
Get rid of stock.
100%. And that's the thing is unless it's more obvious now, right? But if we were having that conversation like we were a year ago, close to a year ago, and we were probably having that conversation before the podcast started, but unless you were in it, you weren't thinking of that. You know what I mean? I guess is my point. And so that to me, I would say if I were working there and saw that take place would be very encouraging. I'm sure at the time was probably chaotic to undergo that kind of pivot. But at the same time, now looking back on it, you got to respect the hell out of that. They're really dialed into what's happening because I don't know that was such an obvious realization except for people that were super in the weeds we were and others were because it got to a point where you're like, oh, okay, now I can see how, for me, it started with the sort of stock stuff, photos specifically, but then it was like, oh yeah, you could create once that consistency started to get better, it's like, oh, now you can start to create these things and basically create your own material that you could sell, right? So this feels obsolete now. So whatever they did
when was
to
the last
gather
time
that
you even
feedback
thought about stock? When was the last time you even thought about it?
That's not in a long time, brother.
Honestly, when she said stock photography, I had to register back in my brain. This is how crazy this is. That I had to register in my brain that was a thing because it's totally gone from my thought process, which is wow. I had that. This sounds again Midjourney deep hours. But I was legitimately had to think for a second, stock photography. It used to be ingrained in my day to day, and I have not touched it in 3 years.
Well, to be fair, there was never anything sexy about stock photography, but it was a necessary evil that you never really thought about. But it was always a part of the process because there was no other alternative other than again having a big budget where you could hire a photographer, right? And so it just depends what kind of space you were in, what kind of company, the resources you had. But it was one or the other, right?
Yeah, and it was. Interesting, man, because like I said, there was a bunch of other tools there. I got to meet some people from Topaz. If anyone's not familiar with them, video and image upscaling sort of service, video image restoration, really good. If you guys haven't tried it out, highly suggest it. There's what else was interesting was that I was at one of the parties, if you want to call it. That was more of a meet and greet kind of thing, just networking, and it was filmmakers, a lot of them, a lot of industry vets,
traditional
people, that have been in the industry for 20 years. They were just open invite, they were coming because they were curious, and that to me felt, even out of 60 people, maybe on a small sample size, just felt like a transition, because some of them had finally gotten their hand gotten a little bit dipping their toes. Yeah. And once they started it, they got really interested, and now they're trying to ingratiate more.
Reminds me of that agency push. Remember, there were a lot of those agencies at first just didn't want to even talk about it. And
dude, it's I keep telling anyone there was a great There's a great video this guy did from the film production industry, basically like paralleling what the new jobs would look like. It's not like your job's going away, it's like how it's going to transition. So it's like, how the director becomes sort of like the creative director, and how the, or the costume designer, you're basically going to train digital auras and like, build out, models and aesthetics and be able to place this clothing and like consult on different things like that. The sound engineers are going to be this, the cinematographer is going to do that. And I was like, it's smart because it is still so specialized, in that space.
Well, and kind of like we're at this point too, where if you're thinking about that early enough and at the right time, you actually can be the one to guide that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So somebody's got to make that decision.
If you're a video editor right now, I think I talked to a number of them who are in, a lot of post-production. I was like, I think you guys are in the best position of anyone because there's going to be so much more content. And I know my faults. Like, I can create a good image. I can create like a fun video. I cannot edit stuff together to save my life. I suck at sound. And it's like, I know it's like a downfall, but I was like, there's just going to be more volume of content. And there's going to be people that if you have traditional skills in editing, you're going to be super, super in demand.
Well, and there's
the difference.
all kinds of content, to be fair,
Yeah.
Rory. I mean, there's actual films and, long form content. There's also miniseries. There's also commercials. There's also sketch, so there's so much content, right? And I think that's also kind of like the thing I was, realizing too early on with the AI video stuff, and why I always kind of was a little bit more into the image gen. It was just like the video stuff is cool to me. Obviously, there's so many applications. I want to be good at it. I want to be, pretty damn good at it. But at the same time, it's like, it's not really me, right? It's not really like my best skills. My best skill, I love sort of like the design aspect, the stills, the photography. Some video is cool too. But like that's where I wouldn't even say comfort zone. It's just like, I love that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's okay, right? Like, because there's so many different iterations and various applications of how you would use image gen, let alone video gen, right? Like,
yeah,
it's so broad.
It sort of all feeds into itself too at a certain point. Like I think everyone wants to push a little bit further once they're creative. Like if there's a curiosity, you just want to push it a little bit further. Like I've
always really admired that about you, because I think it shines through with anything that you do with the social aspect, is because like you'll really almost try to break it. And
thanks, man.
That's always something I know I can count on you for, which is awesome to see. You know what I mean?
Because there's the why not mentality. You're just like, why not? Like, let's just try. I think you see so much of the same stuff too. You just want to see something that you haven't seen yet too. Like, oh, I haven't seen this type of shot. Like, let's try to do this.
And by the way, like if you do create content and you're listening to this, you probably already know this, but I'll point out something that may not be super obvious. But it's just like, you don't have to just post the wins, the great stuff.
Yeah.
Share the losses, share the vulnerabilities, share the experiments. People like seeing the real shit.
The bad.
So at the end of the day, it's all good content. Doesn't matter if it's excellent results or results you didn't want to get to. And you post about it and the learnings that you had. And then also probably somebody will jump in and help you out at the same time, right? And say, this is what you could have done. So
do you want to hear also, dovetailing on that point a little
dovetailing
bit, is big sentiment towards Midjourney, almost like exactly sort of how we felt about it, where talk to this maybe 50 people, like there's still like this like childish, like playful mentality with Midjourney. Like it's not, because it's now not the only game in town and you have to figure it out how to use it for XYZ project. And we were like the same thing that we were doing, which was like trying to like fit it to our needs.
Yeah.
People still just utilize it as like a playground. Like it's just like, I need to like decompress. I like to use Midjourney. Like I just want to like throw a bunch of images into style reference and hit like car and push enter, and see what comes out. And I think if you're going to ask me where like you can win, like to me, that's a win for Midjourney, is like that's, they don't have to be competing in the professional world.
I like that I love that you pointed that out, because I think like that's easy to forget, because it's like we pushed it from that perspective because we've obviously both been at this point where we're running solo and we use Midjourney as a key part of that workflow, right?
Yeah.
But when we started, we weren't using it for that. And we still do it even for not paid projects to play and have fun. And that aspect, you're right. There is no, like, it doesn't even matter if there's something that's better than Midjourney. It's something about the magic, right, itself and the experience of that platform. And I don't know, maybe even like if you've been using it for a while, the nostalgia of where it's come from. And it is sort of like this really impressive underdog in the sense that it's not funded, right? Like there's just a lot of reasons to root for it.
Yeah. It's that, it is that, like, I said it on the panel. Someone asked a question and I said, like, I was not forced out of design. I sort of like evolved out of design to where I didn't have a creative outlet anymore. I was doing sales and like operations. So everything was like growth and sales and growth and sales. And I wasn't doing anything creative. And it was like at the end of the day, after talking for 9 hours, do I want to go sit in Illustrator or Photoshop and like try to, get creative and do something? I would cook. Like that was my, outlet. Like I like to be creative that way. But now I'm just like, I go on at night and I just sort of like brain dump my stress into Midjourney and just like, what was in my head today? Let's get it out and let's sort of like see where it goes. Cause then I feel good. Like it feels good.
Yeah.
After you're done. That was echoed by a ton of people. Like it gave them a little bit of a creative space to like be outside of work and like,
what,
felt like
any other like major takeaways from you from the event?
That was one of them. Like I said, I was surprised at how many people were like very new to the space, but super interested. Like, very, very actively trying to sort of like get ingratiated. And like, there was a ton of people there for, I don't know if anyone saw Runway, the AI Film Festival. They sold out Lincoln Center. So that's a big deal. There's a lot more interest. There's a lot more events around it at Tribeca Film Festival, which in the past is very exclusive and like would basically not want this stuff around. Like they would last year, you didn't want AI.
Oh,
around.
interesting.
This year, it's like there's a bunch of people that are coming in. I'm going to see, got invited to a Google thing next week and got Dave Clark talking and a few other people that it's like, this is not traditionally what happens at AI. At Tribeca Film Festival. So there's a shift, and I don't know if anyone else has noticed this. If we have any other New York listeners, it doesn't feel like New York is as maybe AI creative as California. I know a lot of people in Europe. Like I never feel like there's a big contingent in New York, but I've met a big contingent this week, so I was happy about that. Yeah.
By the way, are you a Google paid partner or promoter?
No, I was a beta tester for VO2.
Because we got a comment that we were shilling VO3 as paid promoters for Google.
Please, I paid $125 for that first membership, and then I paid $200 extra to test it because I have to know this stuff. Because you can't just like walk into a business who, we do corporate training for businesses, things like that. And they're like, how's VO3? Because it's the most powerful video generator in the world. And I say, oh, I don't know. It's too expensive. I don't use it. Like we have to do this stuff sometimes. Like, I don't think people understand, it's like, oh, do I really want to upgrade to the max plan right now? Yeah. No, but like,
I also think that's really cool from our perspective is like, we're not paid or incentivized by anyone.
That being said, if there is anyone that is interested in sponsoring the podcast or wants to have, some live reads on here, that's right. We're open for business.
Yeah, this is our real pet project. We're both busy guys. We love to show up every week for you guys. We would love to go harder on this and really like build this out more. Time's the villain, but like that being said, we love like this is our thing. So like we try to give you guys, obviously it's this focus around Midjourney, but we try to give you a sense, at least, if nothing else, of everything else that's happening in real time and maybe even how those pieces connect, right? Because what's on top now may not be on top 6 months from now.
Yeah.
Year from now, right? And I think in that sense, we're kind of lucky Midjourney's still where they're at. Because if Midjourney was in the garbage, we probably wouldn't be doing this. But But yeah,
but there's still that feeling. And again, there was the other sentiment was the hyper coherent models, right? Like I came across this a bunch to go back to that comment. The hyper coherent models are awesome because they listen, but they don't have like that little extra flair that can make something really pop or make something, sort of like be magical to you.
yeah,
If you're doing this for professional stuff, like some businesses just want boring, bland, plain. That's it. Some want, like editorial genius. Some want the most minimalistic, like simple, clean, corporate, safe. Like you're going to run the gamut if you guys are doing this professionally. I think we have a bunch of professionals that listen to this or use
yeah.
these tools in
There
their
was
professional life. So
there was another comment too. We talking about he had an idea of how he wants us to talk about how you can monetize Midjourney. Right. We did do an episode on this, episode 4, long time ago. And I remember we went through like a bunch of examples. But if that is helpful, let us know.
do it again.
Let us know in the comments, because obviously like things have changed. There are new use cases for this, and there still is a window that is open completely for monetizing Midjourney, AI image gen, video gen.
So here's a tip, not a tip, this is an opinion. Let's call it that. I think if you're going to monetize Midjourney, you have to have a skill somewhere else. And this is just being bluntly honest. Like if you're going to say like I want to sell t-shirts, like you have to be good at running an e-commerce store and marketing that e-commerce store. Like the Midjourney is not going to just t-shirts are not going to sell unless you just have like a really large audience on Instagram or TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you need to there needs to be some other skill set involved to pair it with. It's hard to just start like a business from nowhere with Midjourney. Like you're an accountant and you want to use Midjourney to make a business. You're going to have to learn something else plus Midjourney.
Yeah, it would kind of be like, I would think about it in that same approach of if you are going to just like start that, you don't have a big audience. It's almost like you would with any other freelance kind of thing. You'd probably start with people you know and friends of friends to start, to get business, because you would ultimately need referrals and word of mouth to spread. I think that's a good point,
marketing.
right? Because if you don't have the audience or the community up front, it's just going to be a little bit harder. But you're absolutely right. Like there has to be a skill that's associated with it. For
what's
me,
a big one now? What's a big, not to cut you off there. I'm sorry.
No,
just like for anyone that's not in like these like weirder like avenues of the internet, which I feel like I end up in a lot just based on what I've done in my
and based on your personalization code and based on your
my personalization code,
survey,
my homesteaders
results, all that.
They know more about me than I know about me. But there's there's these they're called clippers. There's a lot of stuff that goes on around like Gen Z is really good at this now. It's like taking podcasts and clipping them up, and either there's now incentives for views and things like that. So if you can take podcasts, clip them up, make them interesting. Or videos just in general that are on YouTube, you see the remix feature, things like that, and utilize sort of Midjourney to pop in like images and things like that. If anyone's ever seen anything from the channel, I think it's called like Ninjas Are Butterflies or something like that. I get it on my feed all the time.
You really are in the corners, bro.
I'm telling you. But it's like basically someone will clip a story that they tell on there and then just add Midjourney images to it. And it's easy to like do it really quick and make it go viral to sort of like piece the story together. Like there's more creative ways than like selling t-shirts or, like I'm going to sell like cloth patterns on Etsy. There's a little bit more digital ways, things that can be automated, less sort of like physical goods, more digital.
This is my learnings from this, because I think I had never really monetized outside of just, taking on a particular project and doing the project, right? But what I mean by this is like this passive income approach, or, finding a way to like, because I guess what I'm trying to say is when you get into that part of it, especially when you have limited amount of time. I'm a parent. Kids are in daycare. I know I have a set amount of hours each day that I have to maximize. And when I was on my own, I was constantly thinking about how do I maximize the time that I have, spend it in the right places. When you have ADHD like us, that's even harder. But at the same time, it was just like, not all money's equal. What I mean by that is there's a difference between taking on a $5,000 project and then having to create all these things, right? And this maybe takes you, maybe stretches out over the course of a couple weeks versus maybe doing a training that is, I don't know, like a tenth of that cost, but it only cost me an hour to do.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm constantly thinking about how I stack the differences there. What are the things that are not worth entertaining? Right. So maybe 5,000 is a bad example, but if it's something like 2,000 and I knew it was going to take enough time, it's like, that's not worth it, even though I'd like that money. Right. Versus doing it this way. And same with that was why the digital products, the courses, the guides, the things that we, put out, passive income, right? It's like all the work is front loaded. Yeah. We do make changes every once in a while. Right. But at the same time, it's like most of that work's done. And if you promote it here and there, right, like you can generate income and you're not working hard for it. It doesn't cost you any time to do that.
Yeah.
Outside of making a social post for it. So it's like constantly thinking of those other ways to stack the right types of activities versus the time that you have allotted. And I think that's also key, right? Because that was like sort of like an obvious but hard lesson. I think a lot of people just have to learn themselves. Even if somebody were to tell you that, I don't know that you could necessarily proactively do anything about it unless you've experienced the pain personally.
100%. And if anyone wants to go down a rabbit hole, it's more that, affiliate marketing is a great way to start to, like, even if you're just going to learn it to fail at it, it's such a good skill set because it's more than just influencers hawking products. There's a lot more depth to that industry. There's a lot of ways to make ridiculous money that you didn't even know was like available on the internet. So it's you see some of these guys, and I familiar. I don't know if anyone's familiar with something like search arbitrage, but like if you look up search arbitrage, you'll realize how ridiculous it is that people make money on stuff like this. So I'll leave that breadcrumb with everyone. If you want to go look up what search arbitrge is.
I don't even know what that
Search
is. I'm
arbitrage.
interested.
Exactly.
We'll have to check that out.
It's you when you hear it the first time, you're like, why did I have a full-time job if people are making money like this?
Yeah, those are always interesting.
If you're good at it, you probably don't work a day in your life ever again. Not to sell the dream there. This isn't like a crypto bro scam. You obviously have to be smart and good.
Everybody just logged off to go pursue financial freedom just now.
It's something that I had to ask the people who were doing it like 3 times. I'm like, come on, there's like more to it than that, right?
I think I kind of know. I think I kind of know what you're talking about. Not the ins and outs of it, but I think I know what you're talking about.
I mean, there's a lot more to it than what I'm about to say. But like, if you think about it in terms of like buying distressed like domains or misspelled domains, things like that. I'm sure you tried to go to like Amazon and you spelled it amzn.com. Right. And then it's like, oh, page doesn't exist, but here's like 5 other links, and it goes to like Amazon, Walmart, Target, whatever. Those are all affiliate links, and they're cookies. So you click on that, and you go to Amazon, and then you buy something. Like the person who has that domain.
Shit.
Yeah, it's like things like that where you're like,
sneaky,
come on.
sneaky. That's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, like,
sick.
You feel dumb when you learn this.
I know, man.
Like,
some fucking smart people out there.
Yeah, but hopefully, if Midjourney had an affiliate program. Speaking of that, we should do some of these eventually. The AI companies, if anyone is, for our listeners, the AI companies are starting to adopt affiliate programs. If you're not familiar with what an affiliate program is, how it works, basically you apply to become an affiliate for them. So you will then become part of their affiliate program. What they will do is provide you with a custom link that basically tracks to you. So if you're posting on, like Topaz, for example, has a affiliate program. A few. Yeah,
I was going to say, call some of the ones out that you're thinking of.
Topaz has an affiliate program. Off the top of my head, I think Kling or Luma has an affiliate program. I think I don't know if Freepik does. I'm trying to think of who else does, but this is something that we can come back and talk about in terms of like strategizing how to make money off this stuff.
Yeah.
Like for something like that, if you have a newsletter, if you have any sort of social following, you don't have to have 50,000 people. If you have, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people, that's enough. Because what it is, it will give you a custom link. And then whenever you post about it, if you say, I upscaled this video with Topaz. If you want, if you're looking for the product, here's the link. Then if people click on your link and they buy, you get paid. So I think right now you're starting to see this trend grow in the space. If you're posting about tools, if you're interested in tools, things like that, they want to, it's mutually beneficial. So you basically post on their behalf and create content on their behalf.
Yeah, UGC, and both parties
you generate
win.
Sales on their behalf. Like, you don't have to have a brand deal with them. Like, you don't have to, like, no one has to. I know this might sound redundant for some people, but it's maybe not, because you can just go sign up for their programs. I know HubSpot, I don't even know what their AI tools are, but I know they have a big commission payout, like 50% on like the first year of someone's plan, things like that. So there's ways. You just got to look for it. But I think that if I had a prediction over the next 12 months, you're going to start to see more affiliate programs start to roll out for these tools, because they just want, it's just found money for them, really.
Yep.
And it incentivizes us to post about it more. But, I'm not posting about Topaz because I'm trying to get affiliates, right? Like, if people want to, if I really wanted to go in on that, I could, but it starts to sort of dilute the messaging of what's good and what's not good. You know what I mean? So try to stay authentic with it. Maybe every once in a while when I need some cash. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. I mean, you are
happens.
doing this full time, so you might need some cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
Diatribe on affiliate marketing over. Just
no, that's good though.
to throw that one out there.
I mean, I think there's like definitely some substance to what we just talked about, but like if we should do a deeper dive on that with more tactical examples, getting into the weeds a bit more, let us know. Happy to do that, because it has been a little while. It would make sense to do it. Hey, what about jumping into office hours here? Maybe talking a little bit about the video model with Midjourney, heating up, talking about it a lot, saying it's going to come out here very, very soon. Finalizing selection among 24 possible video model variations, text to image or text to video, image to video, multiple resolutions. They're considering two main options initially: a budget-friendly version and a high-quality professional-grade version.
Interesting.
Parentheses, expensive. Concerned about potential GPU shortages upon release. So they did mention sort of like they're thinking about the deployment strategically and whether or not they sort of offer video models initially to like annual subscribers to secure funding for GPU purchases, or set daily usage limits, or whatever it is. So that's interesting. Last note on that was they're acknowledging that 40% of Midjourney users currently hold annual subscriptions.
40%?
40%. That's what they said here.
That's
a lot higher than I
thought.
Yeah, same. Let me throw these last three bullets out, and then we can kind of discuss here. So first, video models will offer basic functionalities in short clip generation. Immediate next priority after that is enabling longer video clips. Additional features and refinements expected gradually post-launch. Okay. So,
all right. I'm interested. Like, you guys know we're gonna have to pay for the professional model, and then we're gonna tell you how it is. So we won't hold back on that when it comes out. Like, there's enough baseline there now to sort of judge how good it is, if it's worth the money, what it needs to improve on, because we've seen how good some of these tools can be. I think it's going to be hard. Honestly, I think it's going to be, my expectations are sort of on the lower end of how this is going to work.
Same.
I'm excited about it, but I'm not expecting it to be Kling.
Same.
Right? I'm not expecting it to be VO.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm so curious about this. What does this first iteration look like?
Yeah.
And we've already talked about it, so I'm not going to go down the same sort of avenue, but just reiterating one thing. You've got one chance at a first impression with video.
Yep.
There is a high value in nailing that right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. That said, you're still going to have Midjourney loyalists, right, that are going to follow this through, the updates like we always do, follow it every step of the way kind of thing, sure. But super interested to see what this looks like. Oh my God. You know what I mean? I just, yeah,
Here's an
I
interesting
don't
question.
know what to expect.
What do you think the prompt architecture is going to look like for this? Like it's going to be, is it going to be like broad concept prompting like 5.2 was, or is it going to be like more natural language is going to work better? Like if you had to guess, which way do you think it's going to go?
Well, I guess I mean, doesn't it kind of have to align to the image model?
Kind of. That's why it could be different than a lot of these other models, right? Like a lot of the video
So,
models
I mean, from
now.
that sense, wouldn't it make sense for that to be very much in line with how prompting and the coherence works with V7?
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to use like conversational model as
A-
like a way to sort of like prompt enhance for that to like optimize
And
for the video.
how is the prompting experience? Meaning, Midjourney right now is still one of the more laborious ways to prompt outside of the voice command, right? Meaning like you don't have these little buttons or categories that you can click and sort of like add keywords really quickly or categorize things, right? Like there's
Hmm.
still sort of that like tokenized element of like, you being creative in some ways. And I'm not saying that's good or bad, but a lot of these other ones, right, have those short, like speed, time
Yeah,
to prompt kind of really nailed down for efficiency. I wonder how Midjourney adapts to that from a UX UI perspective.
that's why I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, is it going to be like if I go back to Runway Gen 3, right? For as an example, Runway Gen 3, just a conspiracy theory, works better with runway generated images than Midjourney images. I think it probably recognized just like the image architecture or structure much better and was able to go with it. Like I'm sure a lot of people know who have tried to use some more like intricate Midjourney images in video generators that you like after 1 second you lose like a lot of detail because Midjourney is so detailed and a lot of these other or video generators are not just like not there yet to keep up with that level of detail. So I'm wondering if it's going to be able to handle some of the more like crazy intricate detail that Midjourney can produce and then turn that into video. Versus like if anyone's ever used Runway, I'm sure you've used something with like a lot of texture or like intricate colors or text or something. And the minute it starts or the second it starts moving, like a lot of that like fades and softens out, and then it just like kind of blurs into things. Kling's really good at keeping that detail, but also certain things just not gonna do. It's just not gonna like it doesn't have
Yeah.
the imagination. There's no data on what Midjourney like. You can go so far aesthetically. You know this. Everyone knows this. Like there's no data to sort of like pull from and say like I know what that is. It's like immediately turn it into something that it's not. So I'm very curious if it can handle its own images because that might also be its own its own little like space in the market. I know a lot of people. There's certain images I could never run in another video generator from Midjourney. It just doesn't work. So it's it's interesting to say the least, and I don't know how else to think about it other than that.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait to see what happens with this. And I wonder if it's, I think the original timeline was end of June when we were thinking about them initially talking about it. So what are we're, 3 weeks,
We're on track.
3 weeks, roughly. I mean, I would expect there always to be some hiccup or delay. There usually is somewhere in the process,
Hmm.
but super curious. I mean, how's it going to be different? Right. I'm also wondering, Rory, if they take us this page, and I'm not saying that they're looking at Runway for this idea, could have already been an idea that they have, but you and I have talked about Runway's brilliant sort of idea that it seems like they basically just have ChatGPT in the background now. Because remember the unlock that was at that time of just the flexibility of swapping things and making
Yeah.
things really quickly and the almost like seamless experience of that. And then it basically unlocked all these invisible use cases, right? Which we've started to see leak out and shine some light on things like X, right? We've gone through those examples before.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Midjourney also incorporates that
Hmm.
when they do this video thing.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how they do conversation or conversational mode, right?
Right,
Like
right.
must
That's what I'm
be
saying. It's got to be It's got to
Is
be.
it ChatGPT, DeepSeek, one of the two? I feel like
It's got
those
to
are
be.
like the Chinese models. He mentions it a lot, but I honestly didn't use conversational mode until this week. I was
Oh,
just like,
really?
I was just considering it as draft mode. I did not know what, honestly, everyone. I used it like once when it came out and never thought about it again. And then I'm like, this is pretty cool. Like it is pretty cool if you want to sort of take just like a very quick iteration of an idea and just throw it into there and like have it build a prompt around it and be like, use this last image, change this. Let's try different lighting. Let's, move this subject back in the image. Like, but more it's a more interactive experience. Still not to me. I'm not going to use it all the time, but was just for something that I hadn't really played with. I was enjoying it for the it's interesting to see if you're new to the tool too, if you're new to our channel, which maybe there's some of you, maybe there's not. It's a great way to learn Midjourney prompt architecture because it's pretty much the same every time. Like when you do conversation mode, it's like essentially, can you give me a picture of a car? And it'll spit out the prompt structure. But it's like, all right, give me a picture of a woman. It'll spit out the prompt structure. It's kind of the same. So you'll be able to sort of optimize your way of thinking around how to prompt. So for any of the newbies, if you're out there, I don't know if you're listening to our channel, but it's a good way to go about it.
Yeah, they also, I agree. So just,
Do you even
and if
have
you're
it?
not, what's that?
Where is it on your? I don't see it. Conversation and voice. Why is it not up at the top? That's weird. Did they take it out? Oh, I'm looking at it right now. Hold on, let's try this again. No. Up there it is. All right. I got it.
Wait, I mean, don't you have to have draft mode on and then you're in it, right?
Why is your
Or I wonder
dashboard
if,
or your
you know what, it
navigation
might be
different than mine?
it might be this browser because I'm using a different browser than I normally
Ah,
use because this is my second screen.
got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's probably what it is.
Because it's
But
typically at the right, up top right, right next to the
yeah, because I
draft
don't think
mode.
I have like my control. I don't know if that's it or not. But I was gonna say the other interesting thing was they've sort of like bubbled back up this idea structure. And I was
Hmm.
looking back at the leaderboard of what's up here. Generate multiple angles of the same subject, the ability to precisely control the pose,
Is
improve
that still
coherence and
hard? With that, I mean,
which
can't
part?
the pose of the character?
The pose.
I feel
Maybe
like you
from
can
like a full
describe it.
body maybe from a full body standpoint.
Maybe. I find
Because
it to
I
be
think
super easy, but
yeah, I was gonna say I'm thinking of the images I usually create with those, and I would say for the most part, I do a lot of like portrait, medium, and up. So I think I'm usually just top half.
uh,
So for me, poses is probably like maybe they're doing something with the hand and more or less facial expression, whereas this is probably like incorporating all four, limbs and maybe the dynamic nature of those things. I don't know.
if you're having issues, I think we did an episode on this a while back, but if anyone's having issues with that problem specifically, you just have to be more micro detailed than you think. Like if you're like, oh, I want someone, drinking a bottle of beer. Midjourney has a hard time. So do all the image generators with drinking for some reason. Like it's hard to get like someone holding a bottle to their face. So you have to describe it like you would do it. So it's like beer bottle in the right hand, head tilted back slightly, beer bottle tilted upwards, bottle touching lips. Like that oftentimes does it.
That's the
Bottle
way
touching lips.
that's what we basically called that like the mechanics. You have to
Yeah.
describe the mechanics
If you're not
and
getting it, sometimes you just
versus
get
like
it.
the action itself, right?
Yeah.
Because the action itself can work, but it doesn't work as well. So there are times where you can get away with just doing the action. There are other times where it doesn't work at all. And then I would say a lot of people probably quit there. That's
Yeah.
where it's like that mechanical nature of what you're talking about. It's like really being descriptive of operating through the mindset of they can't see, they're blind. How would you describe that? Right.
Yes.
So
That also works in video for anyone who's also interested. Like instead of using, natural playful expression, right? Like sometimes you have to describe it. Like I had a lot of people ask me on the F1 video how I got the guy to have such natural expressions because I said, basically I said the guy turns his head down into the left, chuckles to himself, looks back up, and like exhales out of the cigarette. So I'm like telling it what to do, like a natural, like it would look natural instead of just, they tend to have that like head bob or like it's like totally unnatural
Yeah.
movement.
Yeah.
So it's just like what you would do if you were like remembering something that was a little bit embarrassing. Like you look down and it's like, yeah, I did that. So it's for video too, you can control expression significantly. You just have to tell it. You have to tell it how the head moves, how the eyes are moving, where they're looking. You can be that granular. Just most people don't do that.
I think that's the thing, right? Is unless you've got, you're really diligent. And I think in this part, I'm thinking about it from my perspective. I'm working on a project, something that is very important, polished. Most people probably aren't taking that time to really go through the micro elements, right? And I think that's just the reality of the laborious nature of what it takes to get the results right now, right? Like, again, going back to Midjourney, the way it's set up, you really have to describe a lot of that with the words, right? And when you're thinking about that, like, there's a lot of time that's spent just crafting a single prompt, let alone is it going to work, right? And so I think that speed to iteration and then also the coherence of that is the issue. That's why it's interesting with the conversational mode or the speech, and that's why it's also interesting with all these other features that can kind of like expedite the typing process of prompting. That's why they're so appealing, because you can get some of that time back and it doesn't feel like as big of a lift to try to get those micro details. But I would imagine like most people just give up. And I'm guilty of that too sometimes, where I'm like, I just don't want to spend this much time on this. So
text prompting is still the X factor in every tool. I still think it plays the biggest role. It still has the biggest influence on what happens. So, we got lucky because that's all we had when we started.
I'm curious, like going back to video, you got a wish list? You got things that you're looking for with this video? I mean, we've talked about like expectations. We've talked about like making a good first impression. We've talked about like now you're jumping into this game from Midjourney's perspective of like the velocity of updates and new features that come, and now you're in sort of like a different pool. What about you as like user, with all the expertise and experience you've got in these other tools? Like what's your wish list from Midjourney? And I don't care if that's just like it has to have this, like sort of like those bare bones table stakes kind of things, but also like if there's anything additional that you're hoping maybe that it has.
I still want I want the Midjourney magic. That's number one. I've said that on a few episodes. But what I think about it in terms of what like Kling has, where there's like a slider where on one side it's coherent to what you say, and on the other side it's creative. Like that thing to me, it's like basically the Stylize parameter, right? Like if it has something along those lines where I can either one, do exactly what I say, or two, go off and do its own thing, where like a lot of times the magic happens. I'm interested in something like that.
Yeah. What if there were different? Why can't there be more than one coherency model, right? So that's maybe where I wonder if that's like really what's at the underlying approach of EXP, or, because like there are some people that want to be very matter of fact. There are other people that want, and maybe that's project by project base, right? Like on whatever you're aiming for. But like that would be cool to have some control there too, right? That's kind of
a style reference for video, but without having to use a frame, if that makes sense. Like, if I was just like the same way you think about like style reference in Midjourney, like attach just random image, doesn't matter what it is, it has no influence really. I mean, it has some influence, but like
so really you're just saying like, hey, take literally only the style, right? Like the style and the colors. Do not take anything structurally from the image. Yeah,
correct. Yeah, I would like that. Because
that's a good call.
That would save me so much prompting time in terms of like getting the aesthetic.
100%. That's a really good call, dude. Really good.
If they could mimic that, because I don't think anyone else has done that other than for video to video. Like you can do video to video styling. Like I don't really think you can just
because then you could curate your own LUTs in that sense. Like of what you're
Runway
applying.
Runway has it, but like not really. Like it's there. Like, you can create your own custom style. But it's not like utilizing a Midjourney image that's going to like affect the entirety of it. Like I just think that would be something like a differentiator, right? Like that's what I'm thinking for them. Style reference is just so damn good. Like I just love it so much.
I'm going to
Want it in
direct
video.
you. I'm going to direct you here to submit
Okay.
that idea because
All right.
that's a good one. We need that one.
All right. It'd be great to not have to describe the lighting, the color tones, the textures.
I'm with you.
Yeah, like I don't want to have to write 2-paragraph prompts for video every time.
Ooh, I think
Or
that's
build
a
a
really
prompt
good one.
generator.
That's like one that you're probably not even thinking about just because you're so used to the way that Midjourney works. That's why I love
Yeah.
that one.
Midjourney, if you're listening, free shout outs. we shill for Midjourney, but we don't ever see anything on the other end of it. So we'll see
Ooh.
if they take some of this
You know
feedback.
what? I got an interesting idea. Hold on one
What do
second.
you got? What do you have?
I got this a while back. I've been meaning to open it, and I wanted to do it on the pod. This was that yearbook,
Oh,
right?
all right.
Remember they sent that they did send a yearbook.
year one. Yeah.
The year one, and I was like waiting to open this thing up because I was thinking I'd do this on the pod, and I keep forgetting. So it's been like sitting over here for like a month and a half.
You haven't opened it?
Haven't opened it. We're unboxing it live right now.
Wow. Live unboxing.
So
Oh, it's the plastic stuff. Dude, you might as well just like I might not even open it. Just
You
save
think?
it as a collector's item.
I know.
Could be worth something. I wanted to get
Could
the first
be.
edition of the Midjourney magazine. Like I just want to have that.
Same.
'Cause- Yeah.
I think the first one I got is like 3.
Yeah. I definitely don't have the first one. I know that. But it's really odd. And this isn't I don't put the book in her hands. Faye goes to that book, opens it and looks through it. Doesn't
Yeah,
tear the
dude, my
pages out.
girls do too. They
Yeah.
do too. They love that.
Yeah. Like she loves the Midjourney book. There's so much like cool stuff in it.
Hey,
It's from,
Midjourney,
like, page to
maybe
page.
even a kid's book.
Hey.
Like you could curate a separate one just for the kids.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much good
That'd be
stuff. And
sick.
it's so like viscerally like you can I can see her from like page to page like sensory like overload. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's like
I think you're right, dude. I don't think I'm going to open this.
you might want to keep that one.
So this is year one. This is essentially like we're talking about the magazines right now. They go out monthly. They're $4 maybe a month.
Something like that. I forget.
If you want to do those, I'm still subscribed. I've subscribed since like episode or version 3 or volume 3 or whatever it is. Those are. I've probably got one.
You got one right there.
Someone right there.
In the
You know.
plastic also.
Still got that one in the plastic. There's so many that I haven't opened, but this is cool. I mean, this is these are more soft cover, flexible like a magazine. This is hardcover,
Good quality.
really legit. I think they may still be selling those. Those I think they were $70 or something like that. But yeah, man, they're really cool. And I think like the reason why they're cool too is just the nostalgic effect of like we've been doing this for how long now, and it's been such an important part of our lives. Like it's cool to hold on to this shit.
Yeah. Speaking of nostalgic, taking a quick pivot for 1 second because I saw this like yesterday on Twitter. Our friend Tim Simmons over at Theoretically Media.
Yeah.
He posted one of his first like videos from Pika.
I
and it was,
saw
like
it.
8 frames a second.
I saw it because I saw you commented on it. I don't know what I was doing, but I was not at home, but I was like looking at it on the run. I was like, yeah, this is kind of dope. Let's see if I can find that actually.
Like I almost looked at it and said, "That's cool. What tool is that?" Because it's so foreign as to what it looked like, what it used to look like, and I was like, "That like I like the way that looks." The same way I was like when you look at a Polaroid and you're like, "I like that style." It just doesn't feels like that jump from like Polaroid to where we're at now in camera happened in AI in like 2 years, and we already forget what 8 frames per second looks like.
Yeah. Hold on, I gotta find your replies. Yeah, this one right here.
There it is.
Okay, so
Yeah.
hold on. Let's pause this. So Tim said, rummaging through the archives, I found this old school Pika output. Date on the file is June 2023. So we're talking 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
That looks about right. Early Pika, 8 frames per second, question mark, text to video generated on Discord. Remember that? It's janky
Yep.
and weird, but I still kind of love it 2 years ago. And it is cool. Let me play this real quick. And maybe I'll blow this up so everybody can see it.
It's like we're watching like vintage. It's like we're watching like vintage videos now that are vintage are 2 years old. I mean, this to me is still pretty good for the time for what was going on. There you go. Look at it. You get all the morphing and weirdness of it. I kind of want to like do something in 8 frames per second now. Like just
you guys can't
so
hear the
crazy.
music, but the music's vibing right now too.
Like this to me for what was going on in 2023 is not bad. Like
this is insane for 2023 and Pika, by the way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That was when you still
So
had
that's wild. Yeah, I'm glad you called that out. That's funny because I saw that and I was like, "Yo, that is dope, though." You know, and again, it kind of goes back to that like imperfect phase with video in general. Anyway, you know, there were certain ways that you could treat the imperfect nature of the video to let it shine. You know?
Yeah. And that's still you see it on. If you open up Instagram, you'll see it. There's, you know, those people that make like the like sea monsters that don't exist, and then they melt into like a pile of like snails or something. You know, like there's so many weird videos like that just get views. But this is, if anyone's not familiar, this is not a sponsored post.
Yeah, go ahead and talk through this. I'm gonna play it.
There's no affiliate link, but you can see on the left is what the VO2 output. On the right is the Topaz Starlight, which is a creative upscaler for video. Look at the police car here. You can see the difference clearly. It's like super sharp and defined in comparison. Still a little soft for my preferences.
Still soft, but you could tell.
Yeah, but like better. Like it's getting there. Like to be able to do that from a creative upscaling standpoint with video. Also, this shot was fun in VO3 to just keep extending to like build a scene like for a long shot. If you go down, there's a longer one. Which
you had another really good one. What other one you want me to tap into here?
This one, man, was it this one?
15 seconds.
No, not this one.
Keep
going.
This
one right here.
Okay.
Yeah, this one was legit. I was so surprised. I'm like, let's just do a long shot, see if we can do it, where the camera just follows. You know, and I'm just trying.
Hey,
to
Rory, you're not
transition
paid by
everything.
Google, are you?
No.
Okay.
They just spend my money on them. Sorry, guys.
Just want to make sure.
Even the camera operator right there at the end, which is kind of crazy. You see it in the reflection of the car.
What is this thing, though? What is this?
You know what I think that was? I didn't notice it until I put that thing out. Honestly, I was looking at just everything else and didn't notice. It looks like one of those car racing games, or like when you have like the map in the corner. You know what I'm saying?
Oh shit!
Yeah, yeah.
That's what, dude. That nailed it. Because this must have happened. Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is wild.
That is wild.
The other thing, if you scroll up a little bit, this was what I wanted to show people why VO.
Which one?
This right here with the arrows.
Okay.
Yeah, start this one from the beginning. This is like some of the micro details here are, I know we like to talk about this stuff. Pause it real quick. Just, right. Yeah. So you'll see right there, there's 2 bushes. This
Hold on,
goes
let me go back.
Yeah. Right there. You'll see these 2 bushes. I hit extend here. So these bushes are in like the last frame of this video and then the first frame of the next video. And then I extend again. So just watch where these 2 bushes end up by the end of the video, right? And then their depth perception and their permanence, right? So this is through 2 extends and they're still there. And then, you know, if you look right here, pause, bang, camera operator in the reflection, which is nuts.
Oh,
That's there.
Yo, that is wild.
Crazy, right? And then if you go back, there's 2 other things that are really impressive to me and like just simple things. Like if you see the reflection on the side of the car, you get the white lines and the desert in the background. So if you hit play, like watch it, you'll just see it on the side of the road, right? Like that's on the reflection of the car. Interesting. And now if you go back one more time to the beginning, if we go back to the beginning, notice we have super high angle sun, right? Like midday. Watch the sun glare move from the car as the camera moves, right? Comes up the side.
Good call.
You see it?
Call. Yep.
And then you'll see as we push in, it goes back the other way. Which I'm like, those are little things that you're hoping for improvements on because it makes a difference. It looks so much more real. I know people.
But I love
like,
that. I love the observation though. You know, is everybody looking that closely? I mean, I love that you're picking up on those intricate things.
Someone called out the lighting. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, like, if you're looking for perfection with everything, it's not going to be there. But like, some of this stuff is so much more advanced than where we've been. So, this one was fun. I was trying to create one of those like when you used to like the 3D like movies when they used to kind of like come out at the screen, they had a very specific look.
Of course.
I wanted to try to do that.
Yeah. I love it, dude.
If anyone's got some technical stuff they want to do to that to make it come to life in 3D, that'd be cool.
Yeah, man.
There's so much VO, not a shill, not paid.
Dude, stop talking about it, man. You a partner or something?
I did get to beta test VO too. I spent a lot of their money apparently.
But I think we're gonna try to get somebody on here.
Yeah. From Google.
But yeah, I mean, this was this is interesting. One other final note too before we wrap is probably just around SREF, like in terms of like an immediate update. Seems like that update's going to ship here probably between now and the next time we talk. So some sort of SREF upgrade, refinement. I don't know what, in typical Midjourney fashion, I don't know what to expect in terms of the totality of this, but I'm interested. I'm interested. Like I do think I'm starting to see too more requests and ideas around like start showcasing like the top SREFs this week, top mood boards this week, right? Like, cause like also Rory, we talk about the magic a lot as being the differentiator. The other differentiator that Midjourney has that I know they've kind of walked carefully along is the social community component. They have this opportunity, even with just something like that, where you've got this explore page. Sure, everybody's got that now, but you could start to bubble up some of these other features and capabilities you have, and give people a sense of what's popular, what's being used, what's hot, right? So that could be SREFs, that could be mood boards, that could be tokens.
Yeah,
like
I would like that.
Let's go. That doesn't feel like that's a big lift, but that would be a huge sort of, I think, opportunity for them because community's always been something that I think is there for them if they wanted to pursue it.
Like lean into it. I think that's the one thing that they should, when you realize that's the differentiator in a lot of this, it's just like, I think they got to lean into it more, like whether that's with stuff like this, whether that's like community events. I know they're like, that's like not their thing, but like, you see what Runway did. Runway just packed Lincoln Center. I know there's a lot more people that use Midjourney than Runway. Like, I know that for a fact, right? Like, you do something like that, there will be people. I'm not saying you have to do it, but just like anything, small events, little
people. Well, listen,
whatever.
I think the Midjourney users want it, and I'm not speaking just from my opinion. I mean, we want that. We want that. They're like, it's almost like Midjourney hasn't treated us bad by any means, but it's like almost like we've like from the community aspect, it's almost like we're this sort of neglected dog. We're wagging our tail. We just want to be loved. We just want like some TLC attention, and it doesn't even take much, but it's like we're craving it. We want it, right? And you've got the community, so continue to take advantage of that. It's one of the big differentiators you have outside of the magic component.
Yeah, that and the explore page, like really. I mean, if there was a way to even just have a profile. I mean, I don't want them to do this stuff. I'm just thinking about where, like, how do you lean into community a little bit more?
I know.
Because it is like why everyone likes this tool. It's how we all learned it was via community, basically. So it's I'm looking forward to it. The other thing is, I think there was one more thing on that. I don't know if it was mentioned on office hours that they're not doing multi-Omniref. Is that on the office hour notes? That one's not coming out.
Let me see. I'm going to browse real quick V8. Here. I don't see it here. Let me just double check that. I'm glad you called that out. Let's double click into that for a sec. I want to find the answer.
Because I feel like I heard that, and then I also, in conversation with some people who had listened on Wednesday, who I saw on Thursday, they had mentioned it. So
I don't see it. I don't see it called out here. I'm not going to go back through last week's, but I don't see it here. And that is kind of interesting, though, right? Because like that was one of the biggest things that they were talking about with it was, okay, multi.
Yeah.
So maybe they're experiencing some some obstacles there, and they're kind of ho hum on it.
Yeah,
or maybe it's a big enough lift where it's like, hey, we'll just save that for V8 now.
Yeah, well, there's just a lot of competition here. There's a lot between Flux Context now, GPT, Runway References, Google Gemini. They can all do this kind of stuff now. So I'm not saying that video is not important, but really some of the image stuff would be useful. On that side, but who knows what they're going to do, man. I mean, they just seem to beat to their own drum. I don't have a problem with it. I love it for what it is. I love it for what I use it for, and I want to just keep like them being them. Like I don't, that's like the one thing that I'm hoping that it stays.
Yep.
Just keep being you. Just do it. But
do you, babe? Do you?
That's right. Do you, Midjourney? And that's even for our thumbnails, like I can't use any other tool other than Midjourney. That's Midjourney. Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like it can't be anything else other than that. We'll see what we got going on. They've got a lot more things coming up. We got a couple. I think we probably got to wrap up here in a second. I got to wrap up too.
Yeah, I got to wrap.
Just so everyone knows, we probably got a couple of new formats we're going to try over the summer at some point while we're moving along here. We were throwing around some ideas, trying to keep it fresh. Got a lot of feedback this week on the podcast saying that everyone likes the the sort of multitude of formats that we do. Sometimes it's talk show, sometimes it's
the
guest,
unpredictability,
it's demo. Yeah. So if you guys have any ideas, if you're still listening right now, drop them in there. Like, let us know if you're interested in anything in specific. You want to see demos, you want to see us do something live, you want to see prompt battles, whatever the hell it is. Just throw it in there. We'll probably figure it out. So
last note. I hate that I saved this for the end, but like, we do have 41 episodes. If you're catching this, but you haven't caught all of them, highly, highly recommend going back because we go deep. I mean, I think we're at the point, right, where there are so many things that along the way we've already covered. So most of the time we're not going back and revisiting those things unless there's been like this huge evolution of it. That said, right, comb through that if you haven't. There's plenty of good stuff in there that still applies. I'm still getting, I'm still seeing comments from people like from episode 3 and 4. Just found you, like this is dope, and it's like, man, we did that
almost a year
50 weeks ago. Like still relevant. So,
our SREF episode really fun. If anyone missed that, it was interested in like going really deep into SREF. We did. That was one of our more viewed ones. That one, I remember some of the ChatGPT episodes we did, like partnering those tools together.
Yep.
Going back in time to like every little feature.
The Q&A ones we did
Q&A
popped off too. Yeah.
It's good. Yep. Like I said, if anyone has ideas, you're looking for something, you want us to test something live, drop it. We'll do it. We're open to this stuff, and we want to evolve a little bit. Keep going, keep getting better, keep making you guys come
100%.
back and find something new. So
100%.
That's our goal. Like and subscribe, damn it.
Yeah. I was kind of teeing that up. All right. Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Awesome. Later. See
Peace.
ya.